On November 26, 2025, two members of the West Virginia National Guard were critically wounded in a shooting just blocks from the White House in Washington, D.C. The incident occurred near the Farragut West Metro Station in what law enforcement described as an apparent targeted ambush. According to authorities, a lone gunman, later identified by multiple law enforcement sources as 29-year-old Romanello Lacanwell, approached the uniformed Guard members around 2:15 p.m. and opened fire. One victim was male, the other female. Other Guard members and law enforcement officers responded immediately. They subdued the suspect after he had been shot on the ground, though it remains unclear whether a Guard member or a law enforcement officer fired the disabling shot. The suspect was taken into custody and transported to hospital in critical condition. The two wounded soldiers were also rushed to separate hospitals. Law enforcement sources told ABC News the suspect is Romanello Lacanwell. He is an Afghan national who reportedly entered the United States in September 2021 under the program known as Operation Allies Welcome and was granted asylum in April 2025. In reaction to the shooting, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services announced it has indefinitely suspended processing of immigration requests from Afghan nationals, pending a review of vetting and security protocols. Meanwhile, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and other agencies are investigating the shooting as a possible act of international terrorism. In a statement Wednesday night, Donald J. Trump described the shooting as an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror, calling it a crime against our entire nation. He urged a renewed review of immigration policy, particularly for Afghan nationals admitted under former administrations. Following the attack, the U.S. government ordered an additional 500 National Guard troops deployed to Washington, D.C. to reinforce security, adding to the existing contingent already there. Senior military and government officials also publicly expressed solidarity with the wounded soldiers and their families, calling the attack a cowardly act of violence. The shooting is especially noteworthy political and security context. The deployment of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. was ordered in August 2025 as part of a federal law enforcement and crime control initiative. The presence of these troops has been controversial. Critics argue it blurs lines between law enforcement and military roles, while supporters insist it is necessary for public safety. That a violent attack targeted uniformed National Guard personnel, at a time when the controversy over their presence remains active, amplifies the tensions and raises difficult questions about domestic security, immigration policy, and the risks faced by troops deployed on U.S. soil. Moreover, the fact that the suspect was reportedly admitted as an asylum seeker has already triggered swift political reaction, including suspension of Afghan immigration requests, increased vetting calls, and renewed debate over how to balance humanitarian resettlement with national security. The shooting will likely become a focal point in that discussion. This story is still developing. Authorities have not confirmed a motive, and many details remain under investigation.